Welcome back to the Quarterly Call. All content discussed here is for informational purposes and is not investment advice. Please consult with an investment professional.
Ready to dig into Airbnb's latest.
We're breaking down their Q3 2024 earnings call and shareholder letter, and let me tell you, there's some juicy stuff in here. We're talking big expansion plans, new services coming next year, even a peek into the future of travel itself.
It's really interesting, Airbnb isn't just riding the wave of travel bouncing back, they're like shaping it.
Yeah, okay, first off, Airbnb crushed it in Q3. Revenue jumped 10% year over year, hitting $3.7 billion. That means $1.4 billion in net income with a hefty 37% net income margin. And get this, their free cash flow. A cool $1.1 billion for the quarter and a massive $4.1 billion over the past year.
But it's not just the numbers themselves, right? It's the story they tell. And the thing that really pops out is Airbnb doubling down on their three strategic priorities. It's like they're saying, we're not just a platform, we're building a whole ecosystem.
I like that. So priority number one, making hosting mainstream. They want listing on Airbnb to be as normal as booking a trip. They've already got over 8 million active listings with growth everywhere, but they're not stopping there. Here comes the co-host network.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Think of it like a matchmaking service, but for hosts. Got an extra room, but no time to manage listings and guests? Boom, the co-host network connects you with experienced co-hosts who handle it all, and the early response is wild.
Yeah, they launched with 10,000 co-hosts ready to rock, and in just 3 weeks, over 20,000 more were like, I'm in.
Yeah.
This could be huge, especially for people who've always considered hosting but felt like overwhelmed by all the details.
Absolutely. It could unlock millions of new listings, makes hosting accessible to, well, practically anyone. But then priority number two is all about the guest experience. Airbnb's laser focused on perfecting that core service.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is. Over 535 new features and upgrades just in the past 3 years. Their recent winter release was packed with over 50 upgrades just for guests, all about personalization. We're talking things like recommended destinations based on your travel history, suggested filters to help you find that perfect hidden gem, even personalized highlights within listings.
Yeah, it's all about making the whole experience feel tailored to you. Takes the guesswork out of travel planning. But they're not just adding fancy new features, they're also serious about quality. Over 300,000 listings got kicked off for not meeting guest expectations. That's a bold move, showing they really care about guest satisfaction, even if it means losing some listings.
And that brings us to strategic priority number three, expanding beyond their core. Airbnb's laser-focused on markets where they haven't fully tapped into yet. And guess what? It's working. Their growth rate in these expansion markets during Q3 was more than double that of their already established markets.
And they're not just like dropping in, they're all about making Airbnb locally relevant. Take Brazil, for example. They put a ton of effort into making it work there, and destination nights have tripled since before the pandemic. In Japan, they've got a brand new campaign going after domestic travelers. It's all about understanding each market's quirks and tailoring the Airbnb experience to fit.
And that local focus even includes how people pay. They're on track to offer almost 40 local payment methods worldwide by spring 2025. Makes it way easier for people to book and pay in their own currency. Talk about smooth sailing. But let's zero in on some Q3 highlights. Guest demand, skyrocketing. Bookings picked up speed each month, and by the end of the quarter, they were back to double-digit growth.
And their app is a major player here. Nights booked on the app surged 18% year over year, now accounts for a whopping 58% of total bookings, up from 53% last year, which shows you how people plan and book travel these days.
They're even reeling in a whole new generation of travelers. They just hit a massive milestone, 2 billion guest arrivals. And get this, a big chunk of those are first-time bookers, especially younger folks. Airbnb is becoming the go-to travel platform for a whole new crowd.
Yeah, but while they're attracting new users, they're not forgetting about the ones they've got. Remember that focus on quality? Well, it's paying off big time. Customer service contacts are down, guest satisfaction scores are up, and host cancellations have plummeted by almost 30% compared to last year.
It seems like their guest favorites program is really hitting the sweet spot. They've racked up over 200 million nights booked at these top-rated properties since it launched a year ago.
And check this out. Airbnb now has 2 million guest favorite listings. That's more inventory than Hilton and Marriott combined. Tells you something about how travelers value quality and curation these days. It's not just about finding the cheapest option anymore.
It's about finding the right option. Okay, so we've covered their killer Q3 performance and their 3 big strategic priorities. But the real buzz is around Airbnb's next chapter. What's all this talk about expanding beyond accommodations?
Well, Brian Chesky, Airbnb's CEO, has been dropping hints about a future that goes way beyond just places to stay. He's drawing parallels to Amazon's journey, starting with books, and then, well, you know how that story goes.
Yeah, he's not messing around. He even suggested they're looking to launch one or two new businesses every year, each with the potential to rake in $1 billion or more.
And while he's keeping the specifics under wraps for now, he did say they'll start with areas closely related to travel and then branch out from there.
We know they're revamping Airbnb experiences, relaunching next May. But what else are they cooking up? Let's put on our futurist hats for a second. If I were Brian Chesky, where would I be looking to make a splash?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you look at the whole travel ecosystem, the possibilities are endless. They could dive into travel planning, transportation, activities and tours, even financial services tailored for travelers. Imagine booking your flights, renting a car, reserving restaurant tables, even getting travel insurance, all through Airbnb.
That would be game-changing, a one-stop shop for all things travel.
Exactly. And with their massive user base and the data they've got, they could create hyper-personalized travel experiences unlike anything we've seen before.
That's a pretty compelling vision.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away dreaming about Airbnb's future, let's bring it back to their current financial outlook. They're projecting strong demand to continue in Q4, even faster booking pace compared to Q3. So if you're thinking of booking an Airbnb anytime soon, better act fast, because demand is through the roof.
And don't expect prices to drop. They're forecasting a modest increase in average daily rates, probably because people are going for larger, more expensive properties. Their projected revenue for Q4 sits between $2.39 billion and $2.44 billion. But their Q4 2024 adjusted EBITDA margin, basically how much profit they keep after expenses, is expected to be a bit lower than last year, all because they're investing heavily in growth. Makes sense, considering all the ambitious plans they've got brewing.
And speaking of ambitious plans, they've teased that they'll be sharing more details about their full year 2025 growth and investment plans early next year. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds like we've got a lot to look forward to.
We sure do.
Well, that was quite the deep dive into Airbnb's Q3 earnings, but we've only scratched the surface.
This company's moving fast, making bold moves. It's going to be fascinating to see how all these changes impact the future of travel. Speaking of expansion, Brian Chesky has been dropping some hints that go way beyond just finding a place to crash.
Oh, absolutely. Let's shift gears in part 2 and explore some of the potential bumps in the road and the big opportunities Airbnb might encounter as they venture into these uncharted territories.
Sounds good to me. We'll see you back here for part 2.
Until then.
Stay curious. Welcome back to part 2 of our deep dive into Airbnb's Q3 2024 earnings. Last time, we were just getting into Airbnb's ambitious expansion plans, how they're aiming to be way more than just a place to find a cool apartment for your next vacation.
Right, yeah, it's almost like they're building their own travel universe. But like with any big, ambitious venture, there are going to be some challenges along the way. I want to unpack some of those.
Okay, let's talk about regulations. Airbnb is often right in the middle of debates about short-term rentals. Cities and countries all over the world are trying to figure out how to handle this whole new way of traveling and lodging. It's a tough balancing act for sure.
Totally. On one hand, you've got the economic benefits that these rentals bring to local communities, not to mention the income opportunities for hosts. But then there's the flip side. Concerns about housing costs, impact on the feel of neighborhoods, noise levels, you name it.
And then there's the whole safety and security thing for both guests and the people living nearby. Airbnb has things like background checks and guest verification, but making sure everyone feels safe and secure is a constant challenge.
Yeah, it's a complex issue, no easy answers there. And of course, there's the competition. The travel industry is constantly changing, new players popping up all the time.
You've got the big hotel chains like Marriott and Hilton who are stepping up their game to compete with Airbnb's unique offerings. They're getting into the experience game, revamping their loyalty programs, investing in tech, even partnering with Airbnb sometimes.
And then you've got the online travel agencies, those OTAs like Expedia and Booking.com. They're pushing into the vacation rental market too. They've got the size and reach, but building trust and offering that seamless booking experience for vacation rentals, that's a hurdle they'll need to clear.
It's a packed marketplace, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Airbnb needs to keep innovating to stand out,
Yeah.
but Challenges often bring opportunities, and Airbnb is in a great position to ride some major waves that are shaping the future of travel.
Yeah, one of those waves is the growing demand for authentic local experiences. Travelers are ditching those tourist traps, looking
Yeah.
for something more meaningful, something immersive. They want to connect with local communities, try new things, and make memories that go beyond the standard, touristy stuff.
And Airbnb's platform is perfect for that. Think about it, you got cozy cabins in the woods, stylish apartments in bustling city centers, it's all there. And with their revamped Airbnb experiences coming next year, they're set to become a one-stop shop for curated travel experiences.
Exactly. And let's not forget another huge trend, the rise of remote work and flexible lifestyles. The line between work and leisure is blurring. More and more people are becoming digital nomads. Working from anywhere in the world is becoming the new normal.
And Airbnb's all over that. Their long-term stay options are perfect for those extended work retreats or multi-city adventures. And those weekly and monthly discounts they recently introduced, even more appealing for those digital nomads.
So yeah, while there are definitely some challenges out there, Airbnb's got some serious wins at their back too. They're leading the way in these major shifts happening in the travel industry.
Now let's dive into the competitive landscape a bit. Who are the big players Airbnb needs to keep an eye on?
Well, we've got the classic hotel giants on one side, Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, you know the names. They've got the history, they've got the resources, but they're also facing disruption from companies like Airbnb.
And they're not just sitting back. We're seeing them offer more unique, experiential stays, better loyalty programs, investments in tech, even teaming up with Airbnb in some cases. It's like the old guard is learning some new tricks.
And then on the other side, you've got those online travel agencies, the OTAs like Expedia, Booking.com, TripAdvisor. Traditionally, they've been all about booking flights and hotels, but now they're getting into vacation rentals too, putting them right up against Airbnb.
Yeah, those OTAs have the size and the reach, but they're going to need to work on building trust and offering a really smooth booking experience for those vacation rentals if they want to compete with Airbnb's strong brand and loyal user base.
Hmm.
But it's not just the big guys Airbnb needs to worry about.
Right, there are also all these smaller niche players popping up, companies specializing in specific types of places to stay. Think glamping, eco-friendly retreats, luxury villas, you name it. And then there are platforms targeting specific groups like families, solo travelers, digital nomads.
It's like the travel market is splitting into all these smaller pieces, which is both a challenge and an opportunity for Airbnb. They'll need to find ways to cater to these niche markets without losing sight of their core offerings and who they are as a brand.
It's a dynamic and competitive world out there, that's for sure. Airbnb's success will depend on how well they can adapt, innovate, and stand out from the crowd.
And so far, they've shown they're pretty good at navigating these challenges. But the travel industry never stops moving. So what does all this mean for investors? What are the key takeaways from Airbnb's Q3 earnings?
Well, first off, Airbnb's financials are looking really strong. They're seeing solid revenue growth, impressive profits, and strong cash flow. Their three-pronged strategy, making hosting mainstream, perfecting that core service, and expanding beyond accommodations, it's clearly working.
They're bringing in new hosts and guests, improving the quality of their listings, and exploring new avenues for growth. They're putting a lot of resources into technology and marketing, and it's paying off. Their commitment to creating those unique, personalized travel experiences is really resonating with people.
But we got to remember, no investment is risk-free. Regulations are a big one for Airbnb, as is competition from those hotel chains and online travel agencies. And the travel industry can be unpredictable, affected by things like economic downturns, world events. You never know what's going to happen.
True, but despite those risks, Airbnb's long-term growth prospects look pretty good. They're riding some of the biggest waves shaping the future of travel. And they've got a strong brand, a loyal customer base, and a culture of innovation that gives them a real advantage.
Yeah, investors should definitely keep an eye on how Airbnb is doing, paying attention to key things like how many nights and experiences are booked, average daily rates, and revenue growth. And of course, watching those expansion plans and new product launches.
Airbnb is a company that's changing the travel industry as we know it. And their story is far from over. It's going to be fascinating to see what the next chapter holds.
Speaking of the next chapter, in part 3, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture, the broader implications of Airbnb's success and what it all means for the future of travel.
Sounds good to me. We'll see you back here for part 3.
Until then,
stay curious. Welcome back to the quarterly call for the last part of our deep dive into Airbnb's Q3 2024 earnings. We've covered a lot, their financials, their strategy, the competition, but now Let's zoom out, look at the bigger picture. What are the ripple effects of Airbnb's success? And what's it all mean for the future of travel?
Airbnb's rise has been, well, transformative. It's shaken up the travel industry in a way we haven't seen in, like, forever, challenging those big hotels that have been on top for so long, opening up a whole new world for travelers.
That's like they've made travel more democratic,
Yeah.
more accessible, more affordable for everyone.
Exactly. And it's not just about finding a place to sleep. It's about experiencing a place like a local, connecting with people, making memories that go beyond the typical tourist traps.
They've given people the power to become entrepreneurs, turning their homes into businesses, and created a sense of community you just don't get with traditional hotels.
But it goes beyond just travel, It's changing how we think about our living spaces, how we design them.
Right, like if I'm going to rent this out on Airbnb, it better look good.
Exactly. It's fueled this whole sharing economy thing. The idea that people can make money from things they're not using a spare room, a parking space, their skills even.
And Airbnb's made cities and governments rethink how they plan and regulate things.
Mm.
All these short-term rentals have brought up big questions about housing costs, what neighborhoods should be like, finding that balance between residents and visitors.
Tough questions, no easy answers. But Airbnb's success has forced us to have this conversation, which is important, about the future of our cities, how to make them sustainable, inclusive places for everyone.
So what's next for Airbnb and for travel as a whole?
Well, one thing's for sure, travel will keep changing, driven by what travelers want and all this new tech.
People want authenticity, personalization, sustainability. They're using tech to enhance their trips. They want flexibility and convenience more than anything.
And Airbnb is in a great spot to make the most of all that. Their focus on unique, memorable experiences, expanding into new markets, using tech to personalize things for guests, it all gives them an edge.
But they'll need to deal with those regulations, fight off the competition from those big hotel chains and online travel agencies, and adapt to whatever travelers want next.
Most importantly, they got to stay true to what got them here. Those core values, community, connection, trust.
Yeah, only time will tell what the future holds for Airbnb. But one thing's clear, they've changed the travel industry forever.
And their story's just getting started.
Thank you so much for listening to the Quarterly Call. If you enjoyed it, make sure to rate and follow our show. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.